people, how's it going? Welcome to another video. So, continuing the trend of starting series that I never carry on with, we're going to start a new one today. We're going to do a series that I do actually want to start and finish and, keep going with, and that is 5 albums that got me into X genre. Today we're going to do the first genre that I was proper, like, subgenre of metal that I properly, like, fell in love with and got absorbed in, and that, obviously due to the title, is power metal. I remember getting into power metal when I was like 17, 16, I think, with the first band that we'll talk about. We'll go into detail why, but yeah, we're going to talk about 5 albums that got me into this genre, and then hopefully in the next one we'll do 5 albums that got me into, black metal and folk and symphonic and death and all the fun stuff. So yeah, we're going to tick off each genre pretty much. So yeah, that'll be fun. If you can think off the top of your head, let me know down below which 5 albums got you into power metal, from all across the board. It's going to be a good fun to be like, oh wow, that's the album that made you go, I love the sound of guitar, whatever. All good. Yeah, this shouldn't take too long. We've got 5 albums to get through, so like I say, they all kind of happened at the same time, so it's not like a ranking list, and it's not flowing in chronological order either. It's just, here's 5 albums that come to the top of my head when I hear the words power metal that made me go, I love this genre. So, like I said, I was 17, fresh out of school, and I had just discovered weirdly enough, on Headbangers Ball, of all things, I found a band called Rhapsody. Yeah, and from then on, I was like, good God, what is this? I remember hearing a song called Unholy Warcry, which is off the album we're talking about. The first album that got me into power metal was Rhapsody's Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2, The Dark Secret Saga, which Unholy Warcry is from. I saw the video, I saw Christopher Lee in his Burger King hat, and I was like, what's going on? And everything about it was just perfect. It was like, for me, it was like rediscovering Iron Maiden all over again. It was like I was 14 and hearing music for the first time. It was insane. Everything from Fabio's beautifully sung voice to Luca Turilli's absolutely insane swept arpeggio thing to the whole fantasy lore that Rhapsody is. I was just like, this is amazing. It was like Dream Theater again. It was absolute, like, how blown away I was. It was just outrageous. So I was obsessed with them, like properly obsessed, like for the whole year of 2012, I think, which doesn't actually make sense because I was not 17 in 2012, I was 19, so there we go. Yeah, I remember years better than numbers, but yeah, like that whole year, everything about them was amazing. If you haven't seen my Rhapsody ranking, you probably don't need to now because I've just given you my number 1. But hey, if you're interested in what I think about the other albums, go watch that. But for now, we're going to talk about Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2. This album, like I said, it just blew me away. It was, if you know anything about Rhapsody, symphonic Italian power metal band, just got absolutely insane stuff. They've this is their 6th album, but the first 5 told one story, and then 6 to 10 tell another epic story. It was it's just insane stuff. Everything from the opening song to the closing song was just note for note perfect. I loved it. It starts with Christopher Lee giving us a narration, an introduction into the story, and it's very theatrical, it's very orchestrated, it's almost on the borderline. This is the last album that Rhapsody do under the Rhapsody name. Everything afterwards turns into Rhapsody of Fire, and there is a massive differentiation between the 2 bands. It's essentially the same band, just a name change. You got Rhapsody, who was very, very classically driven and very, that way inclined, and then you got Rhapsody of Fire, who was a lot more like film scorey and symphonic and things like that. That's how you separate them, in my opinion. But yeah, so this sounds very film scored like, but it's under the Rhapsody name. It starts with, a film score at the start with Christopher Lee telling us about the story and whatnot, and then it goes into Unholy Warcry, that amazing song that I heard before. The guitar solo in it, the drums is just amazing. Never Forgotten Heroes is an underrated song in my opinion. It's got a fantastic keyboard solo in it. It's so much fun. Elgar's Green Valleys, this is what makes these albums fun, is that's a 2-minute folk flute piece medley thing, just repeats over and over again to give the vibe of the travelers in the story, on their little quest to find the 7th lost book. That's what the story is. the Magic of the Wizard's Dream, you know, the ballad, there's two versions of the song. You've got the ballad from the album, then you've also got the ballad of the duet version with Fabio and Christopher Lee singing it. That one's beautiful. Arius Mystical Rhymes, the 10 minutes epic song, just, oh, there's a bass solo in there. It's absolutely disgusting. It's so good. Angel's Last Call, Dragonlance River, honestly, Sacred Power of Raging Winds, a 10-minute song, that one's awesome. Shadow of Death, Guardiani del Destino, which I imagine is Italian for Guardians of Destiny, just Nightfall on the Grey Mountains, fantastic, fantastic closer. I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. I was obsessed with this album so much that it inspired me to write my own fantasy book. This is the brand new version of it. Real quick plug. This isn't officially, this is officially out. If you want it, you can buy it off Amazon. Not in hardback, not in physical form though. If you want to buy it online, you're gonna have to get the Kindle version until I saw out cover dimensions. You can see that it's like cut off in the end. This is just a test version, but yeah, I brought this back to life to redefine it and make it make more sense and whatnot. You know, there were bits missing and just stuff like that. But yeah, that whole album inspired me to write that. So that's cool. Yeah, if you haven't heard this album and you love symphonic power metal, just honestly, the storytelling about dragons and all that stuff, go listen to this album. You will not regret it. The second album that got me into power metal is probably an album that I thrashed all the time. I think I thrashed this before I was thrashing Rhapsody, so I should have put this one first. But either way, DragonForce's Inhuman Rampage from 2006. This one was just, again, a bit like Rhapsody. Everything I heard, I was just like, good God, it's the Guitar Hero album. This one never left this one stayed in my CD player for a very, very long time. Just even without Through the Fire and Flames, this album is still amazing in my opinion. Yeah, I don't really listen to it too much anymore because, you know, for me it's now a nostalgic album. It's an album that I go back to remind myself, hey, remember when you were obsessed with this stuff? You know, I'm not so much a big DragonForce fan anymore, which is a real shame. They, to me, in my opinion, haven't done a really, really good album, like a really good album since Maximum Overload, which was 2014, I think. They're kind of going downhill, which is, for me, is a shame, but whatever. Bands change, bands evolve, and it is what it is. But yeah, this album, while it might sound all the same to a lot of us, I can differentiate between all of it. It's just, I thought it was amazing. I'm still trying to learn the stuff on guitar, playfully, casually, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was just insane. Obviously, Through the Fire and Flames, enough said, we don't need to talk about it, but everything else is just as top tier. Revolution Death Squad is fantastic. I think that's so cool. Storming the Burning Fields is one of my personal favorites. It's one of the quickest songs on the album. It's only 5 minutes, not 7 minutes like the rest of them. It doesn't have there's a big chunk of like the solo missing, you could say. It's a very simple solo in terms of DragonForce style, but like, yeah, that one's just so much fun. And it's got Wohos in it, you gotta love that. Operation Ground and Pound, the other single from the album, really, really good. Honestly, so awesome. It was really fun. Body Breakdown, that's catchy as well. I think that's awesome. Cry for Eternity, which is pretty much Operation Breakdown 2.0. It's got the same kind of intro, but that one's metal as fuck as well. Like, that's a longer one. It's nearly 8.5 minutes. But yeah, that one's a lot more metal in my opinion. It's just really cool. The Flame of Youth is probably the most underrated DragonForce song of all time. It's got the best key change ending ever. I just always love that song. And then what's an album without a ballad, right? Trail of Broken Hearts, Flying Free. You know, gotta love the cheesy power ballads, but it's great fun. It's a fantastic album, and if you can handle the cheese amount that DragonForce have in their music, then give this album a full listen and I'm sure you'll fall in love with it. If you're new to metal, you know, like if you want to get in and you like the heavy, fast stuff, but you haven't quite unlocked the likes of death and thrash and black and whatnot, try this album out. It feels like you're insane. You're going so fast. You get that vibe, but it's power metal, so it all sounds nice. Great one to start with, in my opinion. DragonForce's Inhuman Rampage. Not Inhumane, Inhuman Rampage. Next up, Gloryhammer, Tales from the Kingdom of Fife. So, take everything I said about Rhapsody and pretty much adapt it to this band as well. This album is pretty much, well, this band, for a better phrase, is pretty much a poor man's Rhapsody. It's nowhere near as polished, it's nowhere near as sophisticated, it's nowhere near as neoclassical, but it's just fun. This album, this is the debut from the band. I, again, just along the same path of Rhapsody, fell in love with this for its simpler side of storytelling. This made me feel like, oh, maybe I can do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a lot more stripped back and it was a lot more straightforward. It's just a story about our hero, Angus McFife, who is on a quest to find some artifacts to defeat the evil guy. That's literally it. You know, I think it's only 10 songs, and yeah, it's 10 songs, it's 50 minutes, it's done and dusted, you know what I mean? And then Gloryhammer kind of carried on, and you could say they got silly, but at the same time, I still love everything they've done. Unlike Dragon Force, yeah. It's still telling all the same story, it's all in the same universe, kind of. Gloryhammer is behind, how to phrase it? It's by the same guy who does Ailstorm, Christopher Bowes. He's the mastermind behind Gloryhammer and stuff. And yeah, in the videos and in the songwriting, he plays Zargothrax, the villain. And it's good fun. But yeah, this album is simple and yeah, it's catchy. It's not as pristine as Rhapsody, absolutely not. But it's you kind of need that to give it the human element that Rhapsody have already blown away. Do you know what I mean? As through this Dark Prophecy, a 90-second song of just, the prophecy is written, Dundee will fall, you know, and then it gives me a symphonic intro, real fun. The Unicorn Invasion of Dundee, great song, catchy, gallopy, fun. Angus McFife, the single, simple enough, catchy, good stuff. Quest for the Hammer of Glory, you know, first deep cut, more or less, really, really fun stuff. Magic Dragon is catchy and just, it's all catchy, so get over it. Silent Tears of Frozen Princess, that one's the ballad, you could say, a lot more emotional, a lot more heartstring tugging, but honestly, still so beautiful. Definitely needs to come on it. Needs to happen on the album. Amulet of Justice brings us back to power metal, back to thrash, you know, back to fast music. Really fun. Hail to Krail is probably my favorite one. It's just you could say it's a call and response type thing. You could really imagine that song live being like, Hail to Krail, shout it back to you. Yeah, it's great fun. Beneath Cowdenbeath, which is an instrumental. It's sort of like Rhapsody's Trolls in the Dark off the Dawn of Victory album. It's just like a fast-paced little instrumental to emulate our characters running beneath Cowdenbeath, the city, to get into Cowdenbeath, I think. And then the 10-minute closer, Epic Rage of Furious Thunder, fantastic song. Still epic enough, though, to be amazing. Always love that one. Yeah. And then there is a bonus track called Wizards, which is a foreshadow to the second album, which is Space 1992, Rise of the Chaos Wizards. But yeah, this album is just great fun. It was another inspiration reason to be like, you can do something like that. You know, it was great fun. And I still love this album. I jammed this one a lot more than I definitely do Dragon Force. And because it's simple, it's not so overwhelming, and it's just very like, that's what you want. You know, done and dusted, just like that. Every song's great. And yeah, if you haven't heard that, I highly recommend you go listen to it for a bit more simplicity in your power metal. So yeah, number 4, number 3, whatever. Tales from the Kingdom of Fife, Gloryhammer. Now this one's a bit different because it's not essentially, you know, pure power metal like the other ones are. This one is a bit more thrashy, it's a little bit more heavy. It's nowhere near like, well, it is a concept, but not in the vein of like storytelling and stuff. We've got Iced Earth's Horror Show. Yeah, random, I know. I often forget that Iced Earth get chucked into the power metal umbrella. I don't really know why. They're a little bit more aggressive and, for a better word, simple to be chucked into the power metal realm, but whatever, it is what it is. This is an album that is inspired, each song is inspired by a different element of something to do with horror. We can look at the track listings, you'll see what I mean. We've got Wolf, which is inspired by the Wolfman films. You've got Damien, which is a fantastic song, which is inspired obviously by The Omen. That's a 10-minute song, great bass intro. Well, I say great, it's just a little figure. I just think it's great. The chorus is the prophecy or the poem or whatever from the film, The Jews Will Return to Zion. And what's really fun about that is when you have your headphones on listening to that and you hear 6, 6, 6, when the Jew, it comes into it. Yeah, again, satanic stuff before we're listening to satanic stuff. It's really fun. Jack, the song about Jack the Ripper, that's the song that made me go, hold on, this album's pretty good. That's where your power metal aspect really comes in, I think, because his voice really, you know, goes out through the roof on that one. Ghost of Freedom is pretty fun. Imhotep is about the mummy, you know, that one's cool as well. Jekyll and Hyde, which is obviously about Jekyll and Hyde, that one's fun. Dragon's Child, underrated song. I love the verse in that. The vocals sound really cool. Dracula is fun. Phantom Opera Ghost is great, which is obviously about the Phantom of the Opera. That's a duet as well, I'm pretty sure, and it's nearly 9 minutes long. So yeah, if you're not in the mood for fantasy storytelling, but you still want your vocals to be crisp and nice, give Iced Earth a go, because like they've got a vast catalog. Like I've got one of their CDs. I weirdly don't own this one. You think I would, but I've got Incorruptible, I think that's what it's called, from 2017, I think, and that one's great. But yeah, like you could genuinely pick any kind of Iced Earth album to get into like a heavier kind of power metal. Do you know what I mean? Something Wicked, This Way Comes, the Dark Saga or whatever it's called. What's the battle one called? The one with the Battle of Gettysburg on it and stuff. That, you know, it's all good fun. Burnt Offerings, even if you want something a bit darker, you know, it's really good stuff. I highly recommend any of them. But yeah, this one I'm talking about is Horror Show. So yeah, if you want power metal with a bit of grit, go check this one out. And then the last one that I will sort of recommend, the one that got me into power metal, is Blind Guardians, A Twist in the Myth, from 2006. This one was also, a single from this one was also on Headbangers Ball, the same show that I found Rhapsody from, and that was Another Stranger Me. When I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, this is catchy enough. Hans' vocals, full stop, are just insane. Great powerful stuff. I was going to rank Blind Guardian at one point. I got about 7 albums in and then just stopped. Didn't go back to it, and now it's been too long that I have to start again, so that'll happen one day. Will this be number 1? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm sure they've got better stuff, but yeah, this is, again, more power metal, just a lot more simple. Each song kind of stands like on itself. Do you know what I mean? This isn't really a concept. While it might have concepting themes like Horror Show, this one, it doesn't tell a story or anything like that. This Will Never End is fun. Turn the Page is really cool. Otherland is great. That one is really cool. Track 2. Fly is great fun. Carry the Blessed Home. The vocal melodies in that are just amazing, I reckon. Yeah, Another Stranger Me as well. A great single on that one. Straight Through the Mirror. Lionheart's cool. And then you get the folky acoustic. That's a cool thing about Blind Guardian. You get a lot of tavern bard type music thrown into the albums. And Skulls and Shadows is one of their best ones. I think it's awesome. The Edge and The New Order. It's a 50-minute album. It can fly through you though. It's a good fun. It's just a bit like, you know, more or less like Horror Show. It just stripped back with a bit of grit, no fantasy storytelling. It's good fun. But yeah, this one, I would highly recommend it. But yeah, I would highly recommend the whole band. So yeah, that's my take for A Twist in the Myth. Awesome as, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I sit here and take you through 5 albums that got myself into power metal. Like I said at the start, if you can think of 5 albums that got you into power metal, please let me know down below, and we'll probably have a conversation being like, oh, that album's really cool, or oh, I haven't heard that album, I'll have to check it out, because gotta love checking out other people's music. It's always so much fun. But yeah, that was fun to talk about. I'll do some more later on, like, you know, later on in time. We'll get black metal out, we'll get death metal out, we'll get doom, we'll get symphonic, folk. We'll tackle them all. It's going to be good fun. But yeah, keep an eye out for those. Until that happens though, everybody, like always, stay inside, stay safe, jam any of the albums I just talked about, and I will see you all in the next video. See you later.